Hey, welcome to our show. It's called Goose in the Wild, and we're really out in the wild today, Bryce.
I'd say.
We're up here in southeast Salem, and I didn't even know these were up here. And we got a nice shot of Timpanogos in the background here. Is that beautiful? Nice snowstorm this morning, and Bryce was kind of thinking maybe we were going to cancel the shooting, but he knows.
What did you call me, by the way? I said, I wonder if we should cancel. What did you call me?
I didn't call you anything. Oh, that's right. I called you a namby-pamby.
A namby-pamby.
That's right.
Well, that's the end of this show. Thanks for playing.
Hey, we got a great topic here today. You probably know, you don't know that much about what we're going to talk about here today, but we've got a great guest. He's from the class of 1966 too. You know what? That's the best class going.
That's a good year.
That's a great year.
That's a good age vintage now.
Yep. So we're going to have our special guest come in here today. We got George Jones.
Wait, what's his first name?
No, it's the best first name. It's another George.
I don't know if the world can handle two Georges.
Welcome, man.
Now, Bryce, if you were playing poker and you were dealt a pair of Georges, you'd bet your brains out, I know.
Yep. In fact, our class had 4 Georges. George Gall, George Fillmore, God rest his soul. Good guy, real good guy. George Jones, and then myself.
George Beardall.
That's right. So we're kind of privileged, that class of 1966 with 4 Georges, huh?
4 Georges, and it was the best year for music ever. Not my opinion. That's the way it was voted nationally.
Beautiful. See, we got a lot in common here besides 1966. We both love pop music from the 50s and 60s. He's got a jukebox and I got one.
Yeah, and I got all the Beatles stuff.
We're going to kind of slip right over here to our left and show our viewers what our topic is here today.
Oh! It's the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. No, what is it? I don't know what it is.
This is a what, George?
It's a caboose. It's a railroad caboose. Something they don't use. They used to have them on the rear end of every train. They don't use them anymore, very rarely.
And why is that?
They come up with this device that could transmit information to the front end of the train. They call it a rear end device. They actually on the railroads they call it Fred. Now
Fred?
Fred.
F-R-I-D?
F-R-E-D.
E-D.
Now that F stands for fantastic. Fantastic rear end device.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So the cabooses have went obsolete.
Yeah, and so in the 90s they were selling a bunch of them, and I bought a bunch of them.
Now, I've got a question for you. You're a sharp dude. If one caboose is a caboose, what do you call more than one? Is it a caboose?
No, it's cabooses.
Cabooses.
Well, I can see why you asked that question, though, Goose. Because if you got one goose, it's a goose. But if you got a flock of them, they're
geese.
So why aren't they called a bunch of caboose?
Caboose.
All right, Bryce.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go inside and kind of
let's see
show
what's
these
in there.
people what the inside of an old caboose looks like.
Beautiful.
This particular caboose is actually, it has the cupola where
Cupola.
where the majority of them don't have that. I mean, they were about 50-50, but these are the hard ones to get.
Okay.
And some of the ones with cupolas have them on one end. This one actually is in the center.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
You're actually seeing these in their very raw form, and I mean, they've been sitting here for quite a while.
All right.
I'm in the process of restoring a bunch of them, and later I'll take you to see some of them.
Okay. All right.
So you got to climb up these stairs here, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're up.
Nice. And we had Bryce shoot the cupola. There's a railroad term. What is a cupola?
Cupolas were an area where an individual, such as a brakeman or a conductor, can get up there and he rides and he can look over the rear end of the train. He sits up high, where he can look out over the front end, see all the way to the locomotive.
Now I noticed there's 2 seats. Is there more than one conductor?
At the time when they eliminated cabooses, which was in the late 80s, they actually had 5 trainmen. 3 of them would be on the rear end of the train. There'd be 2 on the front end.
Good idea.
All right. So you got to kind of duck up there, don't you?
Yeah, if you're gonna stand up, these were actually designed where you're just gonna sit down.
Yeah. And there's the radio.
Yeah, right there. What's left of it. This device here was a braking device. You could actually, if the rear end needed to set the brakes on the train from the rear end, they could push this thing and set the train into emergency, stop the whole train.
Wow.
So,
So were they usually looking backwards?
down. They're usually looking forward.
Oh, okay.
Because the caboose being on the rear end of the train, and they look backwards, all they can see is where they've been.
And a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
They're always looking to see where they've been.
Yeah, I don't want to remember where I've been.
All right.
It's just been recently, within the last year or so, where we finally got around to start to restore them, and we're actually gonna fix them up like cabin space, take them down to Big Rock Candy Mountain. So you can rent them out like a hotel room.
And see, that's why we
That's
want.
good.
Is that good?
That's clever. Yeah, I like that.
See?
They're really gonna be neat. I mean, I've seen like 14 of these around the country. The best one I've seen is in Nice, California, but you're only limited by your imagination and your budget on what you can do to one of them, so.
That's right.
You'll see one that's almost done. I don't have one completely done, but I got one in my backyard that's actually fixed up like a guest house, but there's one over near Ironton where it's almost completely done, and it's pretty neat. We've put some money into it.
See, that's what we're gonna do. We thought we'd start here in Salem, the very basic caboose with graffiti and that on that. Now, I mentioned graffiti. What is the basis behind graffiti, in your opinion?
People they got too much time on their hands, in my opinion. But they do it all over the place, and the railroad particularly. The railroads get it on almost every device. If they leave it parked anywhere, anytime at all, they get it. There's a little bit of graffiti on these cabooses. There was a lot on the ones I had over in Ironton, but I've since painted over that, and you won't be able to see that. But
Now, when guys get caught vandalizing trains, are they prosecuted?
they are, yeah, and the railroads have their own special police, and they have authority to arrest you, and they will arrest you. They'll take you and haul you right on into jail, and they'll let you go visit your honor, and you'll get to go through the process. So if they catch them, they usually wind up at least paying restitution to get them restored back like they were, so somebody else can do it to them again.
Okay, and I remember on our way over in the van, Bryce was telling us about, he had a kid that was riding with him, and he said when he'd go by a nice shot, he'd go, ooh, boy, that could be really what, Bryce?
Oh, he would just be salivating every time he saw a bare wall. He felt like he had to go tag it. He just had it in his blood, and eventually it caused him trouble. So he had to go to jail and had to go to rehab too.
And so tagging things is an addiction like drugs and food? And
it was in his brain, that's for sure.
okay.
Well, I think it is in a lot of people, because there's a lot of people do it, and some of them I wonder why they're not out there making a good living doing, because it seems to me like I can do pretty good work, maybe make a living as an artist or something, but.
You betcha.
Hey, hold on to that thing there.
Okay.
Hold on for dear life. Does yours move there, George?
Yeah,
Oh, there it goes.
I'd be tightening the brakes right now.
Okay.
What year are these cabooses?
That one over there is 1966.
Ooh, good year.
1966. How about that?
Quite by chance. I didn't plan it that way. This
Yeah.
one here is 1974,
1974.
and that one 1967.
Now, where do you see that? How do you know that,
It says
George?
built.
It says built BLT. That don't stand for bacon, lettuce, tomato.
Oh, I like that, a BLT.
They're
Yeah.
dining cars, Goose.
And the oldest one,
Oh.
the oldest one I have was built in 1941.
Oh, that's a good one. So you think they're going to appreciate and value, George?
I guarantee it.
Attaboy. Smart investment. How come we're not that smart, Goose?
Well, we are that smart.
I haven't bought anything from the railroad recently.
Oh, haven't you?
No.
Haven't you bought a BLT at Barry's?
Yeah, but it's not an investment.
Okay.
That was a passive income.
I got you.
Passed right through me.
Well, if you go to the hobby store to buy a model of this caboose, the number you'll get is 1507. You notice that number there is 1508.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I have its sister.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, George, we're going to slip over to the Ironton Hill,
All right.
and you've got some cabooses that are halfway done.
I've got some that are, well, they're in various stages.
Stages.
Yeah. But I got one that's almost completely done.
Ooh, and that's what we want to show the people, right?
Yep.
And does it take a lot of dough to restore these outfits?
We're into this one about 30 grand, I think.
30 grand. All right, we're going to slip out of the Salem Hills here, and we're going to slip over to the Ironton Hill. Nice segue, isn't it? All right, we came from Salem Hills over to Ironton Hills, and we're going to go inside here, Bryce, and show our viewers a caboose that is halfway done. So here we go.
All right. Looks pretty on the outside.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, they're insulating in here, Goose.
Okay, and we want to introduce you to two new people here on our show. This is George Jr.
Not another George.
Yes, another George. And then this is Mom.
Eileen.
This is Eileen. And so we're going to go over here to George, if he can come in here.
This is George Sr.
George Sr., so what is your duties over here?
Everything he tells me to do.
Everything?
Pretty much.
Okay, so what's going on inside this caboose?
Right now we've finished the floor. We've got the insulation up. Next thing we'll have drywall going in. Plus the electricals. Well, electrical's next. So after the electrical,
Plumbing.
plumbing.
Oh, plumbing.
Electrical, then the plumbing. Then you get all the get the walls up after that, and put the floor down, or not the floor, but the carpet, whatever you want to put down. We put tile in. You'll see the one that's done, so you'll get a better idea when we get into it.
All right, and so we can get Eileen to come in here a little bit. Now, what's the female perspective? What is your duty?
Well, I'm the designer.
Oh, the designer.
I've designed them and decorating them, and they're all going to be decorated a little bit different, and so it'll be fun to come down and stay in each one of them.
Oh, and so you give it the woman's touch.
Yeah,
Is that much different than the man's touch?
yeah, I think so.
All right, that's all for you women out there, huh? You're probably going, yeah, that's right.
We leave it like this with that, are we?
Oh, the men would leave it like this, Bryce. All right, we're going to slip over to the one that's nearly done.
The one that, yeah, it's almost completely done.
Almost.
Done.
I'm going to give you another word. Virtually done. All right, almost done. Well, as we came out of the halfway done one here, folks, George was telling me that they had to hand sand this thing.
Yep. We hand sanded this with hand sanders, polished right down to the metal. This one had been in a fire, so it was in bad condition. Really, really. All you can see that it's been warped. You can see right here on the front door there, it's warped. Where the fire had just come and just took the metal and just twisted it all up. We had to pound it back. It was a lot of fun.
And you were telling me how much a gallon of paint for these cabooses?
$70 per gallon for the paint that's on these.
That's more than gas is a gallon,
Yeah.
Goose.
I know.
It was, and you got to use the paint. You can't just open it up. You have to use it right when you open it up. It's interesting paint.
Ooh, interesting tidbit. Okay, we're gonna move inside here.
That's UP yellow right there.
Oh, that's UP yellow, huh? That's kind of fun.
Wow, you won't believe this, Bryce. Take a look at this.
Wow.
Is that something else?
Wow. I don't think anyone on the railroad ever had it so good.
Wow. No wonder George stayed in it so long, huh?
Yeah.
at this. Nice.
Well, Bryce, it's not completely done, but we got to get that shower put together. The hard thing about doing one of these is doing the plumbing. These cabooses actually have a big long drawbar type thing that runs, it's what's called a sill, and it runs the full length of the caboose, and it's solid steel, or it's hollow in the middle, of course, but so you got to do plumb all around that stuff. I mean, it's not real easy to do, but we're basically done with this one. Get that sink hooked up and then sink out there hooked up, and we'll be done with it. And of course, we put tile in here. You're only limited by your imagination and your budget's what you're limited by.
Good. See, I probably ought to try to find Goose again and get him back on camera.
He went to bed.
Oh.
Hey, I thought we'd just take a little rest here while Bryce and George Sr. went in to take a look at the basin and is it a jacuzzi?
There's a jacuzzi in there, yeah.
All right. And then George Jr. and Eileen was telling me they were going to have a flat screen right here. Right here, Bryce. They're going to have a nice flat screen. And then they got the dimmer switch here. Look at this. Look at that. Is that something else, Bryce?
That's pretty good.
Wow. And then they got a microwave over here. And a little, what is it, an ice box?
Fridge, yeah.
Fridge. Beautiful. Okay, George, this one's nearly finished. What's your plans for that green one right over here in the middle?
Well, the green one is a Burlington Northern, and the next one over is a Santa Fe. So each one of them is color coordinated. We've got the exact colors that the originals were, and so we're trying to keep them close to being, you know, the old, just exactly what they were.
You bet. You betcha. And so this one,
Each one, everybody's got their favorite railroad.
and the one we're standing in is a what?
A Union Pacific.
A UP.
Yep.
And it's got that state road yellow color?
That's right.
State road yellow.
Now, are there people that are really into the railroads, the railroad buffs that would actually know that stuff?
Oh, yeah. They'll come along. In fact, every day I'll have 2 or 3 people stop by and what are you doing? I love trains. And what's this gonna be? And they'll just come and go crazy over this stuff.
All right.
Goose, I'm lucky if I just get the same color of socks on my feet.
Well, that's me too, if you can see. I've got my railroad boots on today.
Hey, styling again.
Okay, folks. We want to know what George did before he got into this caboose restoration. In a nutshell, how did you get involved with the railroad?
Well, when I hired out on the railroad in 1966 when I got out of high school. And I actually had intended on going up there to Stevens and Henniger Business College, and I got out there on that road working, making so much money that I didn't know what to do with it all. Single boy at the time. I bid on a job in Denver in the signal shop. I was working in the signal department, and everybody told me, don't bid on that, you won't get it, you don't have no seniority. George worked out there for a little while.
That's right. 1 month I worked out in helper. I had to ride in the back of the truck when we got out to the work site. You know what my main tools were, guys? A pick and a shovel. And you know what I thought? I got to be doing something better than this. So I went back to school and got into education. Now you stayed with the railroad.
I did, but I thought I was like you. I knew what that doghouse that you were in was like.
Okay.
And so when that job come up to bid in that shop, I'm thinking, the shop, that's indoors. It won't snow on me. I'll take that job. When I got involved in the union, which was, I didn't know I was even running. I first got elected as a local chairman in 1977. By 1981, I was a general chairman, and that's the guy in charge of a general committee. And I took all that stuff up that George was talking about employees having to ride in dog houses and that type of stuff out in the cold with no heat. I took that up, and I was able to got something done about it. You know,
You
I
bet.
threatened to take them to OSHA and everything else, but they collectively we got it fixed, and so now they don't have to do that. They're in heated cabs, George. You can go out back and work there now.
Oh, super.
So they praise your name back there in the old railroad crews now? They look at you and they say, yeah, he's the guy that really helped us get our standard of living up.
Well, I'd like to think that, but and then I became full-time union, and then I ran for an international office in 1998, and I've been an international vice president ever since.
Okay, so you're one of the big.
Wow.
Are you one of the big wigs?
Well, some people say that.
Are you retired?
No, I still work for the union.
Still working? How many years?
I've got 42 years in the railroad industry.
42? I put 33 in education, and that's a ton. 42?
42.
So if somebody out here sees our show and wants to get interested in buying a caboose,
It's a hard process right now. At the time when I was buying them, they were scrapping them. And I was buying them for scrap metal prices, and I don't like to say what I paid, but I was getting them like for $2,000 to $2,500 then, scrap prices. If you try to buy them now, I've looked at them online. They're very hard to find. They're at about 20 grand.
20 grand before you even start refurbishing.
Yes.
Okay. Now, on the way over, you talked about the fuel prices
Fuel prices on, yeah.
and the rail system. Has it hurt the rail business?
No, hasn't.
Why? Tell the people why.
It hasn't hurt the rail business simply because rails can haul freight cheaper than trucks can, or any other commodity for that matter. The CSX runs a commercial, that's the railroad back east. They say that they can move 1 ton of freight 478 miles on 1 gallon of fuel.
Wow.
And so for anybody to compete with them, it's pretty hard.
I can see that.
Especially on heavy commodities like coal, you know, and you shut that coal off and you turn the lights off for the nation. And they move it. They can move a lot of coal and move a lot of it fast. So
Beautiful. Boy, the guy knows his stuff, don't he?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to take a break right here, and when we come back, we're going to close our show. And you know we always have an interesting way of closing it, and this is no exception. All right, we're going to close our show like we promised just a moment ago. But before we close the show, George, that'd be you.
Yeah.
We've only got 3 Georges here today, but you. Do you have any interesting railroad stories you could share with our viewers?
I have a lot of them actually, but I'll tell you one of my favorite ones. When I was a signal maintainer up there in the Salt Lake area, we were called on a train that hit a truck up there near Roy, and my partner, who's also a native of Spanish Fork, but he lives up in the Draper area now, his name's Merrill Clayson. So we both had head up there to work on this, where this train hit this truck, and this truck was hauling orange syrup, stuff to make snow cones out of. It's winter time, and the place looks like a big giant snow cone, but the thing had knocked down when it hit the truck, it knocked down a signal, knocked down a battery case, and knocked down a telephone pole. So a lady from the Ogden Standard Examiner come up there, and she wanted to know who was in charge here, and I said, I am. And she said, what's your name? And I said, Merrill Clayson. So she said, well, can I interview you? And I said, yeah, I guess you can. So she said, do you work for the railroad? I said, no, I work for the power company. So she wanted to know what happened. I was just, well, train hit the truck, knocked all this stuff down.
So you got orange syrup all over the snow is what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It looks like a big giant snow cone.
Okay.
Everybody's just stomping around in it. And so she says, well, finally she gets around to ask me, well, what is this stuff? And I told her it was Agent Orange.
Oh, no.
So she jumps up on the bumper of my truck to complete the interview.
Oh, she gets out of it.
Yeah, and she says, well, can I take your picture? I said, yeah, you can, but you can't take my picture here. I want to be down by my workers. And since I told her I worked for the power company, I went down there by the pole where these guys were restoring this pole. At the same time, there was another crew up there fixing the signal, and they'd leaned the signal against the back of a truck, and somebody jumped in the truck, took off, and drops it on the pavement and busts all the lights out.
Oh, no.
Which we thought was pretty funny, and so we're laying in the snow laughing about it, and so she takes our picture. Next morning, that picture comes out in the Ogden Standard Examiner, and it says, Merrill Clayson and other power company employees restoring power where train hits truck hauling Agent Orange. Well, Merrill, he goes up north and somebody give him the paper. He comes to Salt Lake and he was mad at me. He's like, he comes, looks me up, wants to know why.
Because he sees your picture prominently there.
He's got the article.
And he knows what happened. He knows you're a character.
And he says, I can't see me in this picture, but he was mad about it. He said, what'd you give him my name for? Why don't you give him your own? And I said, I couldn't think of it.
Where'd Goose go? Do you see where Goose went?
He's over there playing under the caboose.
Oh, is he? Man, I lose this guy at the end of every stinking show.
Look at him.
Goose, what are you doing under there?
Well, George said that these railroad cars get 470 some odd miles to the gallon.
Yeah?
I thought if I got a tank off the Caboose and put it on my car, I could get that kind of mileage.
That's good thinking.
What do you think, George?
George, that's an air tank. That's not a gas tank.
Oh, that's an air tank? These aren't fuel injectors?
No, it'd make a good one if it was that's what it was, but that's not what it is.
Holy smoke.
You better not go into this business.
Oh, okay. Well, you know how we close our show. How do we close our show?
Good night, Johnny, or something like
It
that.
ain't good night, Johnny. It's have a great day. Look at this. Hey, we love you. Remember, we love you. We truly do. And this is the Goose. No, this is the George. And the George and the George and Bryce signing off till our next show. Hope you enjoy. Catch you later.